Welcome to the Magdalene Unveiled Telesummit. My name is Astara, and I'm so honored you're here today, joining us in this sacred space where the wisdom of the Magdalene flows through the voices of the incredible authors in our new anthology, Magdalene Unveiled. Today, we're speaking with author Christy Michaels. In her chapter called Peek Behind the Veil, Christy shares her journey from childhood trauma to priestess ordination, visionary encounters, and the creation of the Magdalene Moonrise Easter Celebration. Her story is one of reclaiming the divine feminine, remembering the feminine Christ, and walking a path of spiritual empowerment and joy. Welcome, Christy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a joy to work with you, Asta.
Oh my gosh, same here. I just love being in your presence. You just your smile and everything about your energy just really is so uplifting. So thank you so much. I
Yeah.
know
Well,
that
we have,
people are going to get that vibe from your chapter too.
yeah, and we can thank the Magdalene for that because until she came into my life, she just rocked my world when she did. I am so grateful for
Well, I would love to
that.
start with that. If you want to, how did she come into your life? I mean, I know there's a story we're going to tell about when you were a baby. So maybe that's a good place for us to start.
Yeah,
When you were presented as a baby in the role of the Christ child, right? Do you want to share that a little bit of that story?
sure. It's like who would have thought? But the church that I was in, which is in Honolulu, the Congregational Church, is built like the Temple of Solomon with all the big, huge columns that are happening. With that, turns out Solomon's wife was Sophia, the Holy Sophia, probably the most suppressed of all the divine feminine emanations in the world. And Magdalene is considered by the Gnostics to be the embodiment of the Holy Sophia
Mm,
because she is the wisdom of God, right? And so Magdalene is the embodiment of that feminine wisdom. And we have lost in our world, it's so sad, we have lost the sacred holy woman, that
yeah.
role, that archetype of a woman who's not afraid. And it was
Hmm.
interesting. I just read recently that one of the fastest growing groups is Priestess mystery schools.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, there's a resurgence now of women awakening to this divine feminine and the role of the fight because everything is so out of balance. So
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
was a baby, um, they were going to have a live nativity scene, and there were no boy babies to be found. Interesting. So my mother volunteered me. And and what I didn't realize until later when I became ordained as a priestess in the Lyceum of the Holy Sophia, that I was being presented to the congregation as the Holy Sophia baby, the Christos Sophia, the feminine Christ child, because I could not be other than that. And everybody knew my mother, and everybody knew that my mother had a girl.
Wow.
But it was okay to suppress the divine feminine. It
Mm.
was okay to diminish the idea, the thought that the feminine Christ could be offered and held up and revered as being born on this planet. And so it was just so amazing synchronistically when I fast forward to the time that I became ordained. I didn't even connect those dots till much later that I was ordained into the Holy Sophia Lyceum by Elizabeth Kelly, who's a priestess of the Holy Order of Mary Magdalene. So,
What a beautiful seed that was planted in you as a baby to represent the feminine Christ child, right?
yeah,
And then later in your life to be ordained into this lineage. Can you tell us a little bit about how the Magdalene has shown up in your life? I mean, your chapter, you're going through some really interesting uh, moments and initiations in your life in which you opened to this aspect and deepened into it. So,
yeah.
is there anything that you would like to share with us about your path on the path of the priestess from when that seed was planted as a baby until now?
Well, looking back in retrospect, it's easy to see how I had to have all these different experiences, and many of them were profoundly mystical, like, being born into a family that was so dysfunctional with alcoholism and narcissistic abuse, bullying behavior
Hmm.
of my family. Dynamics were just wrought with dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I was happy little bubbly kid, and I wanted to sing and dance. And my brothers couldn't wait to pop my bubble.
Oh,
But peek behind the veil, I was supported by the moon goddess. I was supported. And then I end up, fast forward, when I got the vision and I started receiving visions to create the Magdalene Moonrise Easter service, because typically we have Easter as a sunrise service, right? To honor the risen Christ.
hmm.
So to honor the risen feminine Christ, we would have the moonrise service. So that's what
Beautiful.
I was given, this whole download of what to do. And I called all the priestess sisters together and I said, we're going to do this. And it was a 6-station ritual where
Hmm.
we walked in her footsteps. We did what she did. So she anointed, she was painted by Da Vinci at the Last Supper table. So she gave the communion.
Mm.
And
Wow.
people don't realize that the change in the communion happened in the 12th century when the priest was inserted between you and the between you and God. And so you
Hmm.
had to come to the priest, the man, for communion. You couldn't go straight to God and have a direct connection. And so that was set up to separate us out. Where
Yeah.
Magdalene is all about, she achieved that ability to have her own direct connection with God, and it's outlined in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. That story is told. So
And
anyway,
how have you, Christy, cultivated your personal relationship with the Magdalene and with the divine masculine, with the divine feminine and the divine masculine? What does that look like for you in your own personal like prayer life or in your own personal world?
well, I got introduced to the Magdalene in this storyline this lineage that I follow,
Hmm.
by Elizabeth Kelly of the Holy Order. And she had an apparition of Mary Magdalene come to her and tell her that this was in the end of the 90s, that there's going to be a rise in the Magdalene, and would she agent her message? And what was her message? Her message is of equality,
Mm.
harmony, and the balance. And
Hmm.
I'm sitting there in a writing group with other women. We're all writing, and I am just finding myself coming on fire with this story. It's like it is like piercing my heart, in breaking me open, and I become like a crazy woman, like I become obsessed. I want to know everything Magdalene. And so I followed that, and that has led me on so many wonderful journeys. So when I would sit and meditate, I would ask, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And one
Mm.
time I remember I heard Magdalene underwater. And I thought, Magdalene underwater, what is that? So I Googled it, right? And what should come up but the Little Mermaid underwater holding the George Latour painting. Now, the George Latour painting is what they call the smoking flame. George Latour was a famous Renaissance painter, and he painted only 3 Magdalene paintings. One was another copy, but basically it was 3. And so I got curious, why did they put that painting? There are hundreds of Magdalene paintings. Why would they pick that painting to be in the Little Mermaid movie? Well, what is the Little Mermaid? She is half human, right? She's half fish and half
Yeah.
human,
Yeah.
and she wants to become fully human. She wants to
Mm.
become realized as a
Hmm.
fully human person. And this is
Hmm.
her. And of course, what happens? She loses her voice to the sea witch, right?
Yes.
So we are having to find our voice. We are having to restore our voice, which is why I'm so grateful to be a part of the anthology, because this returns my voice to the world and
Yes.
tell these stories. So anyway, I got super curious about why they picked a George Latour painting. And I researched George Latour. Turns out the stories of the three paintings are the step-by-step process to what it took her to become a fully awakened, realized, fully enlightened human being. It's like the painting outlines everything. It's like people couldn't read back then, so you had to see the visual story, and it is a glorious story. It's just fabulous. So that's
That's a great story. I love how we can find these threads, these synchronicities and these little hints of the mystery in our regular lives, like in the regular cultural narratives. They're hidden in plain sight, right?
right,
And
exactly like the rose behind your head. See, now I have a rose story too, because when I became totally obsessed with this and I started getting these downloads, and one morning I woke up and I thought, wow, I have just received this full-blown download. I knew exactly what to do. But what was most delicious about it was that I was given everything I need, the power to carry it out. I I was completely confident that I could do. I'd never done anything like this before in my life. And but I felt completely confident. I knew the vibration in my voice would go out and people would hear it and they would go, whoa, I want some of that.
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
be involved with that.
yeah.
And so when I had come home the night before, I have this rose that I had planted right next to my door as I come in. And it was tight, tight, tight as a bud
Hmm.
was right there. And I thought, okay, it'll be a few days now and I'll see beautiful rose. After I had this insight and I received the full download, I walked out my door and the rose was wide open. It's like no way could the rose open that wide and be that blossom
Wow.
in
Wow.
one evening, 12 hours. So I
It's
have
such a
the Magdalene.
miracle, right? It's such a
Yeah,
miracle when we think about the codes that are in the rose and the Magdalene wisdom encoded into the rose too, because the rose is our heart portal, blossoming and unfurling and opening and softening so we can receive and be in touch with the divine feminine aspects,
yeah.
right? It's such a beautiful symbol for the heart and for compassion and for the depth of our experience. And like every phase of a rose's, growth can show that can correlates to our own growth and our own awakening.
Plus the frequency of the rose and the smell of the rose. When I was doing my research in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene about her, how they outlined her step-by-step journey, one of the they relate it to the chakra centers because people think that seven demons came out of her. It wasn't demons. The word was diamon, and it's a Greek word that means the transmutation from human to divine.
Mm,
So there wasn't. It was the word got got morphed into Halloween demons in the 12th century. That so the original story was it was the process that we all go through of healing our human, like our lowest chakra, the survival is lack, right?
yeah.
The fear based, and then we move into abundance and heaven on earth. I mean, we move into understanding that all our needs are met, all everything that we need is provided, and that we have that confidence because it's our inheritance. And
Yeah.
so what happens is you smell the rose, and we do this in ritual. You smell, but you can't get a rose from a florist because unless you're going to an organic florist. Roses, the scent of a rose has now been taken out by corporate America,
Mm.
removed,
Hmm.
because when you smell a rose from a garden, the smell of the rose opens your heart. It removes
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
resistance.
Yeah.
Resistance to what? To elevating your higher self, to
Yeah.
coming into your divine. No, you're supposed to be a low self. You're a woman. You're supposed to be subjected to,
Mm,
low
hmm.
self-esteem thing, which I struggled with for years.
Yeah.
When you smell the rose, it opens your heart. It's so sweet and
Yes.
delicious.
It shows us the truth, right? The truth of the
Yes.
glory of our
And
existence.
it opens your willingness to rise above and to
Yeah.
become your
Yeah.
divine self. And
Now,
so,
I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt
no,
you.
no,
I'm
no,
just so
it's all right.
excited. So Christy, you have this energy, and I know you've been around, and you've been doing this work for a while, and you have this energy of social justice, right? And of needing our voices to be heard, and of really a stand for that. And it feels like the Magdalene you've been like arm in arm with her. What would you say is the biggest gift you've received from the Magdalene, your relationship with her as an energetic, as a holy woman, as a being, as a historical figure? What would you say is the biggest gift you've received from the medicine of the Magdalene in terms of your purpose?
The biggest gift I've received is a joyous life. It
Mm,
is so fun. So I have never had so much fun as I've had when I'm celebrating the Magdalene, when I'm telling her stories. You can see me just come alive
yeah, yeah.
because there is a quality, a vibrational quality that's closer to the essence of the truth of who I am, which
Hmm.
is I am a joyous being of light.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
love itself. But boy, you talk to my brothers, you never.
Yeah, or like get on social media or watch the news or any of the stuff that's going on in the world. I mean, we need this vibration of joy that you bring. We need this transmission.
Yes, and because joy cares for all, and it heals all, and the generosity that when people are in a joyous state, you need something here. I'm going to share it with you.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
generosity that happens, and this idea of being, the othering of people and the
Hmm.
it's and especially the suppression of women.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that has broken my heart. Because what do women do? Women are collaborators. Men have nothing to be worried about because when women come into leadership, the babies get fed. There's no starving children. That's not happening at all. And I don't care what side of the fence you're on. No woman is okay with that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. That's a powerful thread of wisdom that you're bringing to us today, Christy, is this idea that joy connects us, that
yeah,
joy is what catalyzes generosity and catalyzes that we can catalyze change by being joyous, by allowing ourselves to feel joy and cultivate that, and that the
right.
Magdalene can help us even through our suffering, right? And even through the dark nights and the shadow work and the crucifixions that we go through, that there
Right.
is joy on the other side, that it's possible.
I mean, we are joy. It's impossible for us to not be ourselves. But it is possible to dumb down, to blindside yourself, to deny it, and all of that stuff, especially when you're told, like, you know, being the youngest girl of all brothers, and they were kind of bully brothers. They want to pop your bubble. They don't,
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
And but as one of my friends told me, she said, that's why you do this work so passionately, because, you know, the Course in Miracles calls it the holy instant.
Mm.
And it's an instant of a moment of enlightenment where you're in our pure, aligned, holy self. We're in the divine, where we know who we are, we're standing in our sovereignty. Women, sovereign women. You know how powerful sovereign women are? It's like
Hmm.
when the world is led by sovereign women, what we end up having is heaven on earth. It's not heaven
Mm.
in the heavens. It's supposed to be right here and now. Everybody is caring for and taken care of, and we are working for the good of the all. And the men are included in that. There
Hmm.
hasn't been a service that I don't, one, integrate the service,
Yeah.
I always have integration. It's essential. For me, it's so weird not to. So I
Hmm.
always do integration and to have the men participating. And the men love it.
Mm.
They so love it. We do a 6 station ritual, right? Where people go through the 6 things
Yeah,
that Magdalene did.
yeah.
And we come into the last station, it's called the gates of heaven. And I've had men come into the gates of heaven and they've just been like this. I've had men walk into the sanctuary when the service was going, I think to pick up a spouse or something. And the stations were still being walked, and the guy just fell on his knees. He was so blown away. There was so much amazing, loving, beautiful, divine feminine energy. And half the time, by the time most women get to the end, women don't know what we've lost because we haven't had the beautiful high holy ceremony of the priestess. The
Mm.
priestess brings a level of joy and sacredness that is opens the heart, creates enormous safety. Um,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so when the women would get to the last station, they would just sit in the seats and they would just break out into tears, just
Oh,
crying because they realize how much they have missed.
what a beautiful way of describing the holy instant, that moment of realization, right? That I am that. I am allowed to receive that. I can be that. I can be with it and I can share it. And it's not about a gender differentiation. It's available to all of us. And so the importance of community, of ritual, of integration, like you're saying, and giving ourselves that opportunity to create those holy instants for ourselves and for other people. It's such beautiful work you do.
Oh, and it's so essential because to me it's the call. We're all being called, but not all of us are going to answer the call for various reasons, but we're all being called. And what are we to do? We're to gather what A Course of Love talks about as the forerunners of Mary. So sometimes people say, well, we're just preaching to the choir. No, we need the choir. We need 1,000 person choir. We need massive choirs. So if
Yeah.
you're on this call, if you're if you're listening, if you're picking up the book to read it, this is a call to you. And we are here to love and support you and encourage you to whatever way that we can. And there's 31 of us that are all here for you with our own experiences, opening our hearts, sharing in the most vulnerable ways at a very vulnerable time when women's
Yeah.
rights are being reduced and whatnot. But it's in this divine nature that my safety lies.
Mm.
So it's critical to gather women who can convict themselves to going within, to know themselves as divine, to know the Holy Sophia exists in them
Mhm.
as them. That's the
Mm.
wisdom of God. And what is God without wisdom? Uh,
Yes, right. Thank you so much for coming full circle and bringing Sophia back into the conversation. This feels like a really good place to close our conversation because you've brought it from that seed of being a baby, the baby feminine Christ child, all the way back to divine wisdom of Sophia, which is a part of God, which is a part of our divine inheritance.
yeah,
And we can activate and catalyze that from through our hearts, and we can do it together, and that we can create safety from that inner place of grounded connection and truth.
I would just want to say too, also to our Jewish sisters who are picking up this book and wanting to learn a little bit of Magdalene was a Jewish woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was a Jewish woman. She was teaching shalom,
Mm.
peace.
Mm-hmm.
And she was showing partnership, equal partnership with her partner.
Mm-hmm.
You, you know,
Yes.
the Christos and the Sophia Christos. Actually, now it's supposed to be the Sophia Christos and the Christos.
Mm.
Really balance it out because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we need to restore this balance. And it was the sacred Jewish holy women, Mother Mary, all Magdalene and all these other women who knew they knew what they were doing. Like when she walked into the in the Last Supper, when she walked in with the jar of spikenard, the Bible says this jar was worth a year's worth of wages, like $50,000. Well, one, how did she happen to have so much money that she could spend that on a one single jar of ointment? Well, she was a wealthy businesswoman, and that's more to be in the next book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
but the point is that um, she knew what she was doing.
Hmm.
She was the one who was to anoint. The word Messiah means anointed one. She was the one to anoint him. And she, by her anointing, we have black and white, good and bad, the polarization
Hmm.
came as one. The
Mm.
Heros,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
joining as one, because we are all one. Doesn't matter what your race is or what your color is or because we are the one life. We
Yeah.
are the living, breathing life of love itself. And
Mm.
when you come into that knowingness of it and the experience of it, man, is it fun.
Oh, thank you, Christy. Such a beautiful way to bring it all home for us into the heart, into that unification of all polarities into the oneness, into the one heart. And so thank you so much for your presence. And I'm excited for people to read your chapter, Peek Behind the Veil. And thank you for your time today, Christy.
Thank you.
And for
Blessing.
you listeners, I want to thank you for joining us today and invite you to pre-order our ebook, Magdalene Unveiled, on Amazon today. This will help support us to get to bestseller so that even more people will be able to receive this content. And we thank you for sharing this book with your communities and for walking this path of love with us. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blessings.